The entire purpose of education is to take what you learn in the classroom and apply it to the real world.
So while you probably hated some subjects, they served a greater purpose.
This process is called transfer.
There are two types of transfer. The first type of transfer is near transfer. This is where what you learn is closely related to what you apply it to.
This could look like learning to drive your driving instructor's car and then being able to drive your own car.
The second type of transfer is far transfer. This is where what you learn is distantly related to what you apply it to.
This could look like learning to drive a car and then applying that knowledge to riding a motorbike.
Research suggests that near transfer is quite easy and occurs quite frequently.
However, far transfer is more difficult and quite rare. We can't assume that transfer will happen
Spontaneously!
so there are steps we need to take to maximize transfer.
The goal of education is to transfer general principles and heuristics. However, this is likely to be very difficult given that it is often quite abstract. Willingham suggested 3 strategies to help students transfer deep knowledge, such as understanding abstract principles or heuristics. Firstly, when teaching a concept, we should present students with lots of diverse, familiar, and non-abstract examples, so concrete examples, and give them the opportunity to pick out what they have in common. In doing so, the underlying principle may be more likely to transfer to a future unprompted example. Secondly, we want to tell students explicitly that the goal is to learn the deep structure and not just the superficial features. We can't just expect them to infer this. Lastly, we need to give students practice in transferring the deep knowledge to new contexts, as transfer should be treated as a skill in itself that needs to be trained. So, to give an example covering all 3 points, if the aim is to get students to transfer hazard perception skills in driving from hazard perception training, then we will need to: firstly, show students a variety of hazardous traffic situations and give them the opportunity to point out the similarities between them. The idea is that by training students on lots of different examples, they will eventually be able to extract the underlying principles in hazard perception, and subsequently increase the likelihood of spontaneous transfer to new examples. Secondly, tell students that the ultimate purpose of hazard perception training is so that you learn the principles of hazard perception in general, so that you can apply it to real-life driving and reduce crash risk. Lastly, give students plenty of practice in transferring hazard perception skills by making them apply the same techniques in actual driving.
If you keep all of this in mind, you should have those skills transferred in no time. Happy transferring!